Today is April 4th, 2024. My name is Melissa Ackerman, and I will be interviewing Barry Rothschild about the Dallas Jewish Community Israel Mission testimony. How are you today, Barry?
I'm doing great, Melissa. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Was this your first time visiting Israel?
No, this is my, I believe this is was my fifth trip.
When was the last time you were there before this recent mission?
We were just there, so in 2022, November 2022.
Okay. And what made you want to participate on this particular mission?
Well, my wife and I had planned to go we were chairs of the November 22 mission that was canceled. And then, the November 23 mission that was canceled. And we worked really hard. We had 2 buses. It was going to be an incredible trip. And the war broke out on October 7th, and it changed everything. And then later, we wanted to be involved. And we went to Washington, D.C., which was the Solidarity Mission in Washington, D.C. We joined 350,000 other people for that march. Mm-hmm. And it was just, we felt like we really belonged there. And it was such an incredible group of people that all just got together and had a great time. And then after that, we decided, when this first came up that we're going to have this mission from Federation, we jumped on it. And we said we wanted to be involved, and we wanted to be the first people to say yes.
Did you have any fear about going during this particular time?
No, the only difficulty was just making certain that we had airplane, there's some, we can get airplane reservations.
Mm-hmm. What were the most meaningful things you experienced on the trip?
Melissa, it was an incredible trip because it was only 4 days. And a few things that I remember vividly is when we landed at Ben Gurion Airport. It is if you've ever been to Ben Gurion Airport, it is crazy crowded. Even with the VIP pass, it takes forever to get through the security and just to get through everything. And there wasn't anyone there. It was empty. And when you got off the plane and take that long walk down towards baggage claim, there's posters every 10 feet of hostages. Mm-hmm. And it reminded us what we were there for. Of course, we went to, you've heard the stories of going to kibbutzes, and you've heard the stories of seeing the devastation of what happened, and you've heard all the stories from witnesses who were actually there. But for me, one of the things that struck me the most is when we went to Mount Herzl Cemetery. And if you've ever been to Mount Herzl Cemetery, it is as riveting as if you were going to our own national cemetery in Washington, D.C. And you go up the steps, and when I say steps, it's like S-T-E-P-P-E-S, so it's steps, and it's such a beautiful, it's just, overlooks Jerusalem. And when we got up to this one particular grave we went to see, which is Rabbi Wolk and his wife's grandson who was killed in, I believe it was in January. Mm-hmm. And we went to go see his grave. And as we were...
He was in the Army, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was in the Army. And I think he was actually, he had moved there. Mm-hmm. And when we went to go see his grave, and as you're standing there are all these other graves, and they're all fresh. This whole new section mm-hmm. from the war. And when you read the papers and you hear on the radios and TV that how bad things are elsewhere, when you see all these fresh graves and these young people, and I'm talking young, these young people who have died for a cause, died to support their country, Israel. And of course, I looked at his grave and had a date. I believe it's the 21st. It could have been the 16th, but whatever the date was. And I should know the date because it meant a lot to me. The grave right next to him had the exact same date. and the person next to him had a date that was just a day before. And wow, it really reminded me of what we were there for. The other place that we saw, of course, was Kfar Aza, which is the kibbutz that was attacked on October 7th. And when you see the devastation and you look at a lot of the it's beautiful. So when you think of a kibbutz, you think of just, I guess, a farming community. And of course it is a farming community, and it's beautiful, and the homes are beautiful. And they're not like tiny huts, they're nice homes, and they're all set up to where they live there. When a kid turns 18, they get a smaller one. And a lot of them had either the dishwasher or the washing machines outside right outside the porch, and there are bullet holes all through these washing machines. And I'm thinking, aside from all the numbers, and aside from all the different colored numbers and words to note who was there and how many people they found and what took place, and to allow either the IDF or Zaka, the search and rescue team that comes and finds people after the devastation. It caught me by surprise, because I thought I could have witnessed it and just kind of gone about my business, but it was hard to talk to people, and most of the other people, all the other people on the mission, they were just walking around, but no one's really visiting. They're just shaking their heads and just wonder, and maybe crying. And
Was that the day that you went to the music festival site?
yeah, we went to the music festival after that, and that, of course, it's one thing to see it on TV, and one thing to see it in a Time magazine, but it's another thing when you see all these posters of these young people, and once again, they're young, they're at a concert, and they had like t-shirts and shorts on. It wasn't, they weren't, no coats, and they were, you saw the posters and down, and that's a lot, but when you look down below the posters, and they had the mourners and friends and lovers and wives or kids took and left mementos, and there are these, as far as the eye can see, because you're thinking this is like what could it be? It's a music festival, but it wasn't just there, because it's stretched, these posters stretched all as far as I could see to one direction towards where the parking lot was, and of course the other direction where they were hanging out, or people were picnicking, and it was just awful.
Just hard to take in all of that.
Yes, it was something that will live in our minds a long time.
How were you received by the Israelis and everybody you met over there? Were they?
Everyone we met, everyone we saw, whoever we spoke to, whether it be on the street or at a kibbutz or at anywhere else, they were so appreciative that we took time. They're appreciative that we would take time out of our day to make the long trek to visit them. And of course, we're there trying to act as if it's a Shiva mission, and they're looking at us, apologizing that it was so hard on us that we went to go see them. But everyone's just, it started out when we got to the airport, the people that we saw just saying hi to, everyone's gracious, and they went out of their way to welcome us, to when we got to the hotel, and they were just so, we felt like we're friends, as it turns out. So everyone was just so kind. When we visited we visited one uncle, and he wanted to tell us about his nephew, and he was, of course, taken. He was hostage on October 7th, and He relayed the phone call. He spoke about his nephew. He spoke about what he was about to do. And the whole time he's speaking, he's gripping, like his hands are gripping his poster to show what his face was, and reminding us about how terrible, how tough it is for this young boy's mom, and how he's, going into his bedroom and trying to keep it clean, and wondering when he's going to get back. And
so he's still in prison? He's still there?
As far as they know.
Yeah.
As far, no one really knows, but he's not back.
Yeah. Did you meet any other people either for the mission or after the mission? Did you stay? Did you extend your trip at all? Or
No, we stayed. We had a purpose in mind, just to go there for the 4 days, and we were there long enough. And we would have stayed for 11 days or so. We wanted to rent a car, but we just didn't have time to do that because we knew we could have done anything we wanted to do. Back to at the music site. While someone was visiting with us and talking to us from Zaka, from the search and rescue operation, he's either the head of it or Yossi. And Yossi, he spoke to us for a long time, and when he's speaking to us, in the background, we kept hearing, I guess they're like 84 millimeter tubes going off. And we weren't being fired upon, but they were either doing whatever they were doing. They're conducting some kind of firing some weapons. And at first we were thinking, oh gosh, because the ground shook when these things went off. And then it was interesting, and before we left, we kept hearing it, but no one ever. It was just a matter of course. So caught me by surprise, because it's funny how you can just get used to things so quick.
Were you frightened at all while you were there?
No, but there's never reason to be frightened. We were in Israel. We felt completely safe.
What would you want people to know about what you experienced?
I want people to know that on October 7th, this peaceful area was attacked, and they're just civilians. And even if there are people in the army, because people in the armed forces there were also killed, but it was clear that they were killed, murdered, attacked. I won't go into detail with everything that happened, because you all have heard these stories, but to remind people that this is how this started. And when you saw all the beautiful agriculture that was rotting when we were there, because 20,000 Palestinians were going across our border, and the border sounds like it's a border because we think of what's going on in Texas, but it's the same deal. It was the gap between their side and our side is less than a couple miles, and I want people to remember that this was an Israel's doing. This was completely caught off guard, well planned. Clearly it's well planned, and the fact that it was on the anniversary of what took place on Yom Kippur War is something worth remembering. But I want people to remember this. They were the cause. The cause was Hamas. The cause was they attacked us. To remember that they have our hostages, and until we receive our hostages back. And I say we, because I'm as much as a Zionist as anyone I can find, and an American. And I believe that they have to do what they have to do to finish this the job, but at the very least get our hostages back.
Anything else you'd like to add?